Welcome to the pod. This would be episode 5, I believe. This would be episode 5. It would be myself with the guest of Jimmie Lee, a longtime friend from Mid Ohio Wrestling. ASWA technically is where it was from. And we went to he was a protege of Kid Collins, and I was a protege of Charlie Fulton, and we did shows together. I met you in '93, so welcome. Thank you for
Yeah, in '93. That's around the time Charlie and Kid consolidated the gyms. Around that time, if I'm not mistaken.
close. Yeah.
Yeah, in that time frame, then that's when they formed pretty much the ASWA. And then that's when you kind of came in and got to know you guys and work with you guys, and it became a nice, even a bigger family. Even there's a lot of camaraderie in the wrestling business, it became a bigger family.
Yeah, I think this is a story. I'm going to start when we first met. You were talking. As my first show was in Plymouth. It was the Battle Royale, and that Battle Royale goes down in history now. Because I talked to Mike about it.
Oh, yeah.
I know that I didn't know about. But I remember you were telling me about this Godzilla that you do, which is 2 big overhead shots, both to each pectoral muscle. Wow.
I just heard about that. Just double overhand.
Oh, it's just a really loud cracking sound. A double overhead chops to the chest. So I'm like, oh, I got to take that.
You're the only person who loved them things.
Yeah. It was hilarious because I went to you and I'm like, Godzilla me. You turned me around in the corner. And you made that Godzilla sound when you did it. And it was like a really loud crack to the chest. And I'm like, this is my first match. I have to take this. And I remember Mike came to you. He's like, Jimmie, why'd you give that to him? He's like, he wanted it.
Hey, the dude wanted it, man.
I was saying, who did you wrestle on that show? I can't remember because you
wrestled in a singles match. It was a guy that went by Bodacious Biff Beverly.
Oh, Biff Beverly. I remember Biff.
Yeah, that's who I wrestled in a singles match, and Ed Dudley was his manager.
Yeah, Ed Roof. Yeah.
And actually, I think it was either that show or the show before. I think I invented the Stone Cold Stunner, actually. But way before Steve. Me and Ed would always do the spot where the heel would choke me over the ropes backwards, and Ed would jump up with his cloth necktie, a clip-on tie, and choke me over it. And we had paraded around the ring 3 sides, and then the third time, I'd hook him and drop down my hind end on it. But of course, he would be on the outside of the apron and bumping off the apron on it. I'm like, I've seen Steve Austin do it years later. Wait a minute, I think I invented that move. But that's another. It's who does it on TV first.
Yeah, I took that on TV against Steve Austin. Yeah, I did. I was like, oh, wow. Okay. That was easy to think.
Oh, yeah. Easy ball.
But
that's that Battle Royal he was leading to, I think, the story. Bob Green, when he had a little jealousy fit about a certain female valet / manager that he thought he discovered, and she wanted to be trained, and so she trained under Kid at our school, and well, Bob Green thought since he found her at the Richfield Coliseum walking around, that he should be managed by her. he thought he was going to be Macho Man and Miss Elizabeth Part 2, I guess. But I guess there was a phone call the night before the show to Biff, and I guess he didn't realize how close of friends everybody was, because he said, "Hey, what would happen if I beat up one of the wrestlers in the Battle Royal?" Biff was like, well. He just kind of seeded him a little bit. Well, what do you mean? Who? He's like, well, Kid, I'm kind of mad because, that girl Carrie should have been my manager. And he's like, well, you might want to just see what you can get away with. And then as soon as he hung up, he called Kid. And I was actually hanging out at Kid's because we always crashed at his house the night before a show, usually me, Thunder, whoever. And so Brian Biff, a.k.a. Biff, told him all about it and stuff. So Kid was kind of apprehensive, and I I catch up on the story where you had Kid in the full Nelson or whatever, and he came
on board.
And I told Brian Biff's gimmick.
Yeah, Brian. You say Brian's his real name.
But anyway, I told him, hey, Kid told us, hey, keep an eye on this dude. If he tries something stupid, like say he was like a sucker punch or something. And the whole time when this was going on, when Bob Green turned that ring around and overhand chopped Kid on the head, I grabbed Brian in like a headlock and probably gave him the weakest looking punch. He's got his head tilted in my headlock, and we're just watching this whole melee go on, waiting to make sure, nothing stupid happened. And Kid gave him a receipt, many receipts for his services.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And I didn't know. See, the thing was, it was my fault. I was green. Two, I was stupid. And I was
Yeah.
completely oblivious. I was my first show. I didn't know, and I'm trying to get back on. I'm looking for somebody to work with. And he just turned around and he had this like demonic look on his face, like get away. I'm like, okay. I just kind of went over to somebody else. I'm like, I didn't know what was going on. And then I think 2 days later, kid felt bad about it because then when I got back to the locker room, because I was in towards the end of it, when I got back to the locker room, um, they were fighting with each other, they were arguing with each other, and he grabbed the stuff and he didn't even change. He
Well, I
punched
remember I was standing there by the locker, and Carrie was standing beside me.
yeah, it was Carrie. Carrie was the young lady, blonde haired girl. Yeah,
He
very
took
pretty girl.
he took the swing, like he almost hit her, hit the locker. Then I grabbed him and then brought Biff and Kid kind of, man, it ain't worth it. So
Yeah,
that's when he grabbed his. We actually had his stuff in his hand at the other hand at that point. Then he just went on out the door, not changed or anything. But Kid, man, he had this man, and Kid didn't even know he was marked. Didn't even know he had a battle wound by this dude until I said, "Dude, what's on your head?" He's like, "What?" He's
they
like,
looked
"Go
in
look
the
at
mirror.
I'm like, go look in the mirror, man. He had this like Frankenstein gash. It's like this big blood
Yeah,
blister thing, like from probably 6 inches from the peak of his forehead
yeah.
all the way to the back middle of his skull. It's like, yeah, he deserved it then.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh he deserved it. He deserved it. Well, the thing was, I was so green and I was so stiff when I put him in that full Nelson. It was like, oh my god. He's like, he couldn't get out, and it was just like, and that's just how it was. And I'm like, oh. Charlie was kind of like, he talked to me about it. He said, you didn't know. Next time you see something happening like that, just stay away. He says,
Yeah.
you know, it's between the two of them, and that was it. I never had any problems.
Oh
Mike
yeah.
and I were good friends after that. He
Oh yeah.
called. He felt horrible. He called me 2 days later. We talked for about an hour about it, and because here I am thinking my first show, and I pissed off the owner. What did I do?
No, he probably felt bad too because that's
Yeah,
he's always been a very professional person out in the ring,
yeah.
and and he would he would let something I was taught, if somebody stiffs you once, let it slide. They stiff you twice, let them know about it. If they stiff you a third time, then they potato you 3 times, then give them a receipt. That's kind of what I go
Yeah.
by too, but the dude had that bashed him hard with that intern ring in his hand, man. And it's like, and I think he was worried. He was worried, probably concerned that he didn't show a lot of professionalism to a new guy. Lead by example, kind of a thing.
Yeah, but he was mad, and he had every right to be mad.
Oh
And
yeah,
that was well. The other thing too was just that talk. I've gone through because we went on to work for a long time after that, and
oh yeah,
just having things like when a guy stiffs you, you give back a little bit, but you don't go over the top. You give him a little bit of a receipt. Say, hey, lighten up. Here's it's like it registers to you, and you're like, here, is this guy green or is he trying to make a point with me? What's going on?
yeah.
And and I couldn't. That's happened so many times. There was one guy I can't remember what his name was, in North Carolina, and he was being a jerk
Yeah.
working. He was a kid, and his dad was a job guy for Crockett years ago. And
Okay.
so when he was doing stuff when he was trying to whip me off the ropes, he was pushing me in the back and almost tripping me up. And I'm like, that's terrible. What are you making it look like I can't run the ropes and everything? And then and so he did something where he just he opened hands slapped me during the match, and I took him over again, and I said, "You ever do that again?" And I mean, the first 3 rows were going to kill you right now, and I kind of said that, and I mean, people like other workers that were by there, they were like, "Whoa!" Like, "Oh, he's pissed," and then once he realized he went too far, it slowed down. We were fine. And then the only thing was after I finished, we had him with my finisher and everything. He just kind of laid back and put his feet up in the middle of the ring, like he was just laying there with his eyes closed. And I didn't see that. I didn't know about that after I got in the locker room that he did that. He basically knows all my finish, and I
Yeah,
kind of got nose to nose with him at that point. That's when I got into his face about it. And then I even said, "What's that?" And he couldn't believe it. Like, what did I do? What did I do? And then I went and talked to his dad. His dad was there. I said, you need to teach that young man some manners. He needs to learn how to listen.
yeah,
And what impressed, I don't want to make this about me, but what impressed the promoter was when you're there and all of a sudden somebody's father that was working 20, 30 years ago for Crockett, I'm like, hey, you can't do that. You cannot do that. That's unprofessional. You don't do that. And I could have easily, while his eyes were closed in his head, if I would have seen that, I could have easily stomped on his face
oh
and
yeah,
broke his nose.
oh
And
yeah.
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. So that's why but I'm like, hey, and he never went back and worked for that promotion again. It was NWA Worldwide. And it was in
Okay.
Jackson, North Carolina. Yeah, that's what it was. That's what I was doing. That was just when I started my run with the NWA.
Okay.
But you learn that because you get that experience in the beginning, and you kind of learn as you go work other places and work with different guys. You get a gauge like who you're about to get in the ring with, and you're going, okay, what's this experience level? What is he doing? It's like if like for instance, if there's a show next week and I'm working with you, I'm not even worried about it. I'm like, okay, cool. I know Jamie, we're good. We're good. Who's the face? Who's the heel? Who's going over? I don't care. It doesn't matter. Just tell me what you want. We'll do it. How long do you want it? And we'd be fine. But if it was some Joe Blow from Detroit, and I've never seen but do it work, I'm going, okay. That's when you start. That's when you do a little bit of like probing. When you say, "Now, what do you like to do? Who trained you?"
That was one of my things too. Is back when I would do other shows throughout the Indies, and I don't do other Indies as often as I used to. Just because I do a lot of more training of people than I do of actual taking bookings. There's a couple promotions I work for, but back in the day when I traveled more and stuff, if I was working somebody that I didn't know or wasn't familiar with, and I'm like, that'd be my typical question. Like, hey, who trained you? Where'd you train? How long you been working? And if they didn't know any of the answers to that, I'm like, then I would do a test opening with them. I'd look at him, and actually POP Prince of Polyester, he kind of got a chuckle. Yeah, Matt, he would get a chuckle off of me because I'd talk to. There was this one guy, I can't remember his name now, just some podunk hillbilly guy down Southern Ohio. I was like, look, here's what we're gonna do. Duck, we go to lock up, you duck under. Shoot me off, reverse, tackle, step over, reverse hip toss, 2 arm drags, body, and I do this like 12, 15 move opening spot. And if they're looking at me like, huh, then I'd be like, oh, okay. But if they ask questions like, oh wait, what was after that first hip toss?
Yeah.
Then it made it sense to me that they were okay. They were trying to follow along. It kind of gauged a little bit if they had a clue or not.
Yeah. And because I remember when I did my first WWF match, when I was with Bob Holly, when it was Sparky Plug then, he asked me to lock up with him. He wanted to feel my lockup just so he can get an idea what to do with me. So I was wondering why he did that. I was only a year in the business. I do that with guys sometimes. I would do that with guys sometimes too. God, there was one.
Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me? Yeah, something happened with the earphones. So I'm back. I'm on speaker now. So okay. So back to it. So when you're talking about when it comes to trying to figure out guys with experience, this is a true story. We're doing my shoot job, my regular job.
Yeah.
I was at sales meetings, and one guy thought he was funny, and he kind of said to me, he was like, "Hey, I'd like to manage you." This is when I'm still working regularly, and I'm like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll manage you. We'll do all this." And I said, I looked at him. I had this serious look, table full of all these other salespeople. They're kind of chuckling and laughing. I think it's a joke. I said, "Who trained you?" And he went, "What do you mean?" I said, "Who broke you into the business?" And he had this look on his face like, well, "What do you?" I was like, No. Who trained you? Who have you worked for? Who have you worked with? How long have you been working? Can anybody else vouch for you? Because I will be damned if I'm going to get out there, get in a ring with somebody, and have somebody out there that's supposed to be somewhere at a certain point in time if they're not, somebody gets hurt.
Exactly.
Or it looks like complete garbage. So that's just that happens. I've seen guys. I've been on shows where guys never refereed before and they referee, and I'm going, oh my god. And you could get tangled up into a spot and somebody gets hurt. It happens
Easily. So just one person not knowing what they're doing.
Yeah, it just takes one. And referees, I think, are the most important people out there.
Oh yeah. And I've had matches that would have been great, but referees messed up. They'd mess up the count or be in a position. It's like, oh, come on.
I'll never forget this. I had a match in Pittsburgh. I had the guy's shoulders to the mat, and he was counting 1, 2. The guy couldn't. He was so blown up, he really couldn't kick out. He just moved his legs a little bit, and the referee stopped. And you know what I did to cover it up? I got up and I slapped the referee.
I may have done that a time or two to referees in the past.
Yeah, I was the heel, and the place reacted when I did that. They're like, well, I said, ring the bell, disqualify me. I said, so I told him, and he rang the bell. And he was like, and I was just like, hey, you can't disqualify me. I should have won that match. And so it just kind of like, but it wasn't what we planned. But man, did that crowd react when I did that?
And you covered up his mess up, just like we learned a long time ago. It ain't how bad the mess up is; it's how good the cover up is.
Oh yeah, they don't know. They don't know. That's what it is.
As long as you don't look like you messed up.
Yeah, well, that's why it's funny nowadays.
You don't want to stand there and go, oh, man, I messed up.
Yeah. Well, nowadays, guys will stop and they'll look at each other like.
Yeah, I know. Well, and I think part of that is because they're so used to being spot monkeys, they got to go point A to point B to point C, and they get lost if that gets off the derivative plan.
Mm-hmm.
Learn how to work both ways, on the run, walk and talk, and get it together.
Yeah,
that way you can deviate from the plan if need be.
Yeah, sometimes it happens. Sometimes what happens if the top rope breaks? What happens? Somebody might get hurt, but they can keep going. That happened to me once. It's happened. You get hurt, something twists, something, and you're like, okay, let's switch this up a little bit, but we're still going to do what we can. So it happens.
Oh yeah.
But what I wanted to do here was just, I know we got right into it, but I want to walk me through, man. When did you first start in this business?
Oh man, I started in 1989. I was 15. I was 15. I was 15. Well, kid didn't know it. I had a beard and everything when I was 15, and just looked a little younger, of course, but I always looked older for my age, and I was still in high school, of course, and an old friend of mine who was a couple years older than me, Matt Ewers. He went by Mad Dog Matt Ewers, a Maniac Matt Ewers. He's passed away a long time ago from an aneurysm, but
Ever meet him?
Man, I think he passed away before you even came on the scene, because he died young. So
okay, oh, that's horrible. Okay,
yeah, but anyways, me and him were good friends in high school, and we'd always talk wrestling, and he'd always sneak up, give me a Dusty Rhodes elbow in the hallway in between classes and stuff. And well, then he told me, he's like, man, I started training to be a wrestler. I'm like, what? Oh, I was so envious. I was like, man, that's what I want to do. And he's like, but I'm only 15. And he's like, well, well, I'll introduce you to Kid, man. Just don't tell him how old you are. Don't tell him you're only 15. So it was, and Matt's dad owned the Coney Island restaurant there on Main Street, which Kid's Gym was originally just up the road from there, just like 2-3 doors
down. This is Mansfield or Galleon?
This is Mansfield.
Now you're from Mansfield, correct?
Yeah, from Mansfield.
Okay, so which high school was this at? Which high school?
Oh, Mansfield Senior High.
Okay, because I know I think there was a show we did in Lexington, and that was Chris Lund and Thunder Morgan was Dave Kreiners. It was their alma mater.
Yep, that was Lexington High School. Yep, and we did a lot of good shows there. And Matt took me down to the Coney Island Diner there on Main Street. There's two Coney Islands, Coney Island Inn and Coney Island Diner. That's irrelevant, but anyways, it was like a movie setting. I walked in, it was dark, it was kind of smoke filled. A lot of dark ambiance, just the hanging lights above the tables and the booths. So I go in there, and I already just seen one of Kid's shows that he did at the old 7-Eleven hall, and so I'm trying to be all tough. Hey, how you doing? And he's like, so you want to be a wrestler? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, what makes you think you can do it? I'm like, because I think I'm tough enough, just kind of, trying to let on that I wasn't 15 years old, But he set me up with a tryout, went down, tried, I signed the waiver and everything, and still didn't even question how old I was. I started training, probably about a couple months into training, I got ratted out. It wasn't Matt. I think it was another old friend, Dante, or somebody ratted me out. But so Kid found out I was only 15. He's like, well, you're this far along in the training, maybe have your mom and dad sign a release form. I'm like, now I got to tell mom and dad.
Yeah.
They thought I was just going down playing video games. Mom would drop me off at the diner there because they lived above the diner, and bye, Mom, and she'd leave. We'd go down to the wrestling school, which is like 4 doors down. And, but speed up the story a little bit. Mom and Dad, they were like, well, this is what you want to do anyways. We think we raised you good. We'll let you do it. So they signed the release form and started training. Then when I was 16, I had my first. Well, I was in a battle royal, but if you count that as a first match, but then I had actual first match was a tag team match, me and Kid versus Jesse Madman Salica. And
Jesse Salica.
Yeah.
He's out of Columbus.
Yeah. Oh yeah, great guy. And against him and Matt Ewers in a tag match. So that was like my first match, and I think it was 1990. I think.
Okay.
So like early 1990, March, I believe.
Well, I'm a year older than you, and I started when I was 19. And Charlie didn't realize I was that young. He said, because I started in '93. It was about before I turned 20 is when I started. So I thought I was young, but man, you were way younger.
Yeah. Sometimes I don't know if I should have regret doing it that young, but you know what? It's what I wanted to do. But anyways, I was traveling around doing these shows. I was traveling with kid, usually travel along as an extra just in case. Then I started meeting everybody, the usual networking you do with promoters and stuff. But again, nobody out there knew I was 16. Kid was like, man, make sure you let these guys know you're 18. So I was traveling all around like Pennsylvania, New York, Carolinas and stuff with kid, 16 years old, doing these matches, man. Mainly getting behind and handed to me, but one of the memories I have is I was in a ring with I don't know if you ever encountered Big Bubba. They call him Mighty Goliath.
Yeah.
Remember him? I don't know if you ever met him or not. He's probably long since been retired, but it was like
Mighty Goliath. He sounds familiar.
He's pretty much every bit of 7 foot tall, about 500 pounds, big old guy.
Yeah, he was huge.
Yeah, but I got to get in the ring with him when I was early days of traveling around, and I was like in awe of that dude. He tossed me around like a rag doll, and I'm not a small guy by any means. And but that's kind of how I got my start. Started young, and then the rest is history, man. And just of course gimmicks and looks and images evolve. Each had different styles and looks and whatnot.
Yeah, I have to correct from what I said at the beginning of the show. This is episode 5. This is episode 5, not episode 4. It's episode 5. Usually I do them on every Sunday, but I did one on a Tuesday with this guy in Philly, Nico Sozio. So that kind of threw me off. So it's episode 5.
Okay.
So don't worry about it. So, okay. So go ahead. Keep going, man. So you gained a wealth.
Yeah, traveling around, and then it was just a privilege, I think, that I got to, get the experience I did, especially when kayfabe was still strong. It was still strong back then.
It was still strong.
I actually seen guys get beat up because they would tell their girlfriends how the business was working.
Yeah.
And it's like, whoa, I'm still protective of it. No matter how they say, okay, faves did, I still protect it as much as I possibly can. It's just, I'm old school with that.
Al Snow put it the best way this, because most of the time people knew for years. They always knew.
Oh yeah.
But you know what? They don't ruin it for them.
Yeah.
Just don't ruin it for them. No, don't insult your audience. Don't ruin it. Like I've seen guys tweet on Twitter, the guy they're about to work, and they take a selfie with him, say about to have a great match with this guy. I said, no, you're not, because you just killed it.
Yeah.
What idiot had the rundown of the locker room, the sheet, with the guy circled who was going over, tweets the picture of it saying it's almost showtime. You just told everybody what was going to happen. Just said, I would have killed him.
It's like basically we're storytellers, okay? We'll use a magician as an example. Yeah, everybody knows magic ain't real, but guess what? They're going to go to see the show anyway. You don't have to tell them, oh, hey, this is how this trick works, because it's going to ruin the pleasant experience for them.
Yeah, it ruins the suspension of disbelief. Okay, I like to use the analogy of going to a movie or watching a movie.
Yeah.
And one of the classic ones, the best babyface heel story that I can remember was Superman 2. General Zod.
Yeah.
Okay. He came in with his 2 henches. They took over everything while Superman went off and gave up his powers because he thought he was going to give up his powers and be married to Lois Lane and have a family. He could not do that because once he realized what was going on, he had to go back and get his powers back. And there was such a buildup to him coming back and facing General Zod that there was one scene. I remember I was like, this is 81. I was 8 years old in the theater. And I remember the audience popping. I'm doing the movies because he's in front of the Daily Planet with his arms crossed. And you hear the Superman music playing. He said, General Zod, would you care to step outside? And the audience popped. They're like, yes, this is what we were waiting for. They emotionally orgasmed. They emotionally went, yes. And then if you pay attention to the fight, when they were doing wrestling spots. They were doing wrestling spots.
Exactly.
And now, me knowing now, I knew what they were doing. And I'm like, wow, this is the coolest thing ever. Because I can look back on it now. And then there was the fight scene. And it made sense. The finish of the movie made sense because he gave up the fight because he knew if the people were there, they were a liability. They were going to chase him. He's going to go to the Fortress of Solitude. They followed him. He reversed the chamber. And that's how he won. I mean, it was a perfect finish. The way they did it was beautiful. And it was just like, I remember when he crushed his hand because he became human. he crushed General Zod's hand. He's like, kneel before Zod. He knelt before him. It was great. I think even the president had one good line because he kneeled before Zod and he says, I'll kneel before you if it saves lives. He says, it will. He goes, but I know one man on this planet that won't. He goes, where is this imbecile? He goes, I wish I knew. I mean, it was because he didn't say, hey, Superman, you know, it was just perfect. It was so good. But if you think about it, you know, how much sense would it have made to do that right away in the first 10 minutes of the movie? None. You had to establish the characters, you had to establish the story, you had to build up to it, you know. And it's just, yeah, you don't have to do every movie in 5 minutes. You don't have to do.
You had to get some heat, man.
Yeah, you can get heat walking to the ring if you know what you're doing. Exactly. This is the question. Interesting. Speaking of that, because normally the time that I've known you, I wanted to get to this question before I forget. Did you work your whole career as a babyface?
No. I've been heels.
I've never seen you work heels.
It's actually quite fun. The last time I've been a heel was for Dave Stafford's Mid Ohio Wrestling, MOW. He runs lately. He's last couple years just been Massillon area, but he's ran in Akron, Canton, those kind of areas. But good guy, man. He's one of the promotions I still work for. Okay. He had me as a heel, and which actually we'll get to this story in a minute. But he actually kind of talked me to get back into the business because I almost stepped out as a active wrestler. I mean, I still want to train guys, but anyways, I was a heel for Stafford, and I was hated so bad. It's like, man, this is fun. I literally got hate mail, you know, because people would find my email from my website and stuff. I would get hate mail saying, "Oh, I hope you die, Nightmare. I hope somebody stabs you with your skull." And oh man, it was so funny. And there was one guy. I had one of my students in the crowd, right? And I, you know, had him have one of my 8x10 pictures. You know, sometimes as a heel, it's hard to sell gimmicks sometimes. And I actually stole this idea from Kid he did it back a long time ago. I'd have my student, a plant in the crowd, rip up one of my pictures. So I went up and I just slapped him. Bam, pushed him over in his chair. Boy, this guy got on his phone, calling 911.
The cops are you assaulted somebody.
Yeah, Dave went up to him, no, dude, don't call the cops, man. It's part of the show. So Dave had to break kayfabe just with the guy the cops out there. So I went around with pieces. I said, I better not see anybody tearing up any more of my pictures. If I see next person I see tearing up my picture, I'm going to kick you in the face and knock your teeth out. They formed a line to go buy my pictures. Just come up and go tear up the pictures. I was like, you better not do that again. They go up, buy another one.
Well, I'm sure you hated that.
Oh, yeah. But then I was especially this one fan. I don't remember any names, of course, but this one female fan, probably a little teenager. Well, I come out and I spit the blood out, you know, my entrance and stuff. Well, she complained one time, you got your nasty blood on my brand new shoes. I looked down. So next time I came out the next show, I made sure every show after that, I made sure I stood right in front of her when I spit my blood out in the air, just so it would land on her. She hated me. I think she's one of the ones that sent me the hate mail too. But then when Dave finally turned me face, turned on my manager, Tom Dunn was my manager. And so I turned on him and went face. You can see her in the video in the front row going, oh. She was like mad because I turned face. Because she was like in disbelief, like, now who am I going to hate?
Yeah, I got to hate somebody else now.
Yeah. Well, that's been a few years. But yeah, I've been healed in some places. Actually, and years ago, when I was doing the Gravedigger gimmick, I was a heel working when I worked Wahoo McDaniels and stuff, man. That was
Wahoo, that's a name from the past, man.
Oh, he was awesome.
What year did you work him?
93 or 4.
Okay, because I remember there was a show I was on. I was on the show with Kid. It was Bel Air, Ohio. It was like Rumble on the River. It was right by the Ohio River.
Yeah. He probably worked on that show. Didn't he?
That was the only time I met him because he was just he was 94. He was just getting out of the business.
Yeah, he was because it was a few years right before he retired when I worked him, so a couple years or whatever. So
how did it go?
Oh, it was fun. Of course, you take it easy on him and stuff. But it was just an honor to get in there with him. Of course, he couldn't do a whole lot at this point and everything.
If it was something in the 70s, it would have been different. The Wahoo in the 70s. I mean, he got older. His body was beat up. He played professional football, pro wrestling for 25 years.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he still gave it his gusto, man. He still took some bumps for me, and I didn't really want him to, but he's like, oh man, I'm on a bump. And
did you ever hear the story what he does with his bald spot?
Oh yeah, oh no, I seen it.
He sprays
that Ronco spray on hair formula.
And it would run down his back.
Yeah, and I even had it on my arms after the match and stuff.
Just be bald. Why do that? Just be bald, man.
It's a pride thing, and
I guess so.
But he, man in the back, he loved talking about going fishing and drinking beer.
Yeah,
he was pretty much near a pro fisherman, from what I understood.
Yeah. You know what the other thing too about him was, if he chopped you, you knew it.
Oh yeah. Well, he gave me some chips.
Oh yeah. So I never had a chance. I can't remember who worked on it. I do remember who worked on it. It was Ryan Scott on that show.
Oh yeah.
Ryan Scott. Yeah. That was a guy that, I mean, we could talk about him if you want to. You talk about a guy that knew how to get heat wherever he went. Oh, yeah. He just pissed people off.
Oh, I know.
And he was wondering, because this was between 93 and 96, because those 3 years is when I saw him. After 96, I never saw him again.
Yeah.
And it was like he couldn't understand, because everywhere he went, he alienated people and he couldn't get work again. And eventually nobody would book him. I mean, it's what happened. You just would get heat wherever he went. It's like you show up and you talk smack, nobody's going to want to work with you. I mean, I remember, if I remember correctly, he was pretty good in the ring. He could have a good match, but he was like 5'7" and pudgy. He was just a short, pudgy guy. He wasn't that good fit. He was a guy that you could put in the ring. You could put him in there with somebody. He'd make the other guy look good. He would. That's his role. In his mind, I think he thought he was 6'5", 280 chiseled. I think he just thought he was going to be a man of that guy. He never was. He just didn't have it.
He didn't have the right psychology for his build, I don't think.
No, he kept trying to do spots and things that just wouldn't work for him and his size and his athletic ability or lack thereof. And that was it. But I mean, that's just what it was.
Yeah, like you said, he wasn't a horrible worker. I mean, he'd go out there and he could work a match. I think he was more of a follower than a leader in the ring, which ain't a bad thing because you have your followers and leaders in there,
Mm-hmm.
And now when he did that Russian gimmick, I mean, he kind of got over pretty decent as a heel with that. I mean, that is when he broke from his Russian accent to his hillbilly accent in the middle. Remember that?
And he had those Russian he had the Russian outfit on, which is kind of similar to what Nikita Koloff wore. Yeah. Ivan Koloff wore. It was singlet without the legs, but he forgot to realize that he had his tighty whities underneath, and they were going. You could see them. I remember that, and you could hear the audience yelling, "I see skid marks." I was like, "Oh man." Those were the days. Yeah. So yeah, the thing is that Ryan. I'm on Facebook friends with him now. I barely talk.
I've heard from him maybe once over the last few years.
Yeah. Because I remember there was something was going on where I ran one show in my life, and after doing that, I don't think I'll ever do it again. Which is we're at the show. I booked it. It was in my hometown of Brooklyn.
Yeah.
And I booked it at the rec center. I got the rig out, everything, but I couldn't use everybody first. But I was going to have a second show, and I worked with Kenny. I had all of Mike's guys. I had all of Kids and Charlie's guys on the show, including Billy. And there was another show where Ryan and Kid got to work on, and Ryan was driving with Kid, and all he did was tell Kid, "Doesn't that piss you off? Lou didn't use you. Doesn't that piss you off? Come on." It was just like, well, I used his guys, and I told Kid. And Ryan was just trying to start stuff, and he just liked to do that. And I said, "You already worked that show. You had a show to work anyway. What did you want me to do?"
Here's the thing that I've learned. If you're a professional, that's how the business works. You're not going to get on every show. You're not going to be able to be everywhere. There's only so many spots on a card. There's only so many spots, on a night. You can't have 20 matches in a night, especially the indies. When I got to the promoting end of things, you got to learn. Sometimes you're going to kind of get sneered upon because, oh man, why don't you use? Sometimes the storylines prevent spots from happening for people. Sometimes it just don't work out. If a spot opens up, like I probably got a list of 100 people on a backup list that I'm going to try to eventually get to, but it's just I only do 6, sometimes 7 matches, sometimes 8 if it's a big show, but still, I mean, and that's with adding a couple tag matches to try to fit more people in, And I do, and as a person, I feel bad because I'm friends with a lot of these people, but it's like I just hope they understand that as a promoter, you can't get everybody on the show all the time. I
Yeah.
mean, it just, 'cause especially me. I mean, I try to follow his tradition because he started it up because his promotion up when I took it over, before I took it over, to give his students experience.
Yep.
Because that's the whole thing. You can't get experience without work. You can't get work without experience. So I try to hold true. And when I took the reins over promoting end of things, it was like, well, even if I did that one show, which I had all you guys on the 2012 reunion show, if I only do that one show, at least we all got to get together one last time,
Yeah.
and we'll see how it goes from there. And but even then, it's like there were still other people I wish it could have came in, but there's only so many spots available, and it just
Yeah.
as a person, you feel bad when you can't get everybody, and that's where I think some promotions run into, at least some I've worked for in the past, is they try to get all their buddies on, and there's 20 matches, and it lasts 5-6 hours, and it's like, man, you can't do that. It's just
No, you can't.
the crowd can only be there, so that's why movies are only a couple hours long. The attention span of people are short.
Yeah. Especially certain pacing with the story is now. I remember that 2012 show because I drove up from North Carolina. Well, I'm back in Ohio now. Yeah, I moved back. God, it's been 4 years. It's been almost 4 years I've been back now. I moved back to I'm in Geauga County. But I drove up from North Carolina, and to see Billy, like Bodacious, to see Derek, to see Kenny. I'm trying to think. Rod Capino was there too, the Golden Boy Rod Capino. When I first started, he was in his late 30s. He was the old man, and here I am, 20 years younger than him. Almost I'm in the ring with him. So yeah, it was pretty cool. I mean, just to be in there with Rod and everything, but just to see everybody. I saw Billy's dad because Billy's dad used to drive everywhere.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And everything else. But I remember with your father and your upbringing, if I'm not mistaken, just correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't your father a pastor?
Yep.
Okay. You remember how I found out about that?
I forget.
Okay. We're at Kid's house. As we just had a training session. I think we had food or something. And I'm telling the story. You came in with your dad. I forgot you guys were trying to find something. I don't know, for something for your car or whatever, because you're driving around trying to find a certain car part. I'm not sure what it was.
Okay.
But I'm in the middle of telling.
Okay, it's starting to come back. Go ahead though. It's starting to come back to me.
I'm in the middle of telling Kid Collins, Mike, this story with his fiance at the time. I think so. And we're talking or whatever. And let's just let this disclaimer. Me and Frank Stiletto have stories.
Oh yeah.
A lot of stories. Even Kid mentioned it in the podcast. We were ladies men. Okay. We did talk about the story of me and Frank with these girls, and we're going on and on and on. And your dad was right there, and I had no idea that he was a pastor.
I remember that.
I didn't get too graphic or anything, I don't think. But the two of you left, and I think your dad went to the car, and then you come back a little bit later, and you smiled and said, "Did you tell him?" Dad's a pastor. That's a man of the cloth. And I'm going, "Oh, big mouth." Do you remember that, Jimmy?
I do remember that.
That's the first time I met your father. It was just like, after that, he remembered.
Oh,
he didn't say anything.
My dad was. That's why he was so cool with me getting the wrestling. So he knew that he wasn't the type of preacher that was going to Bible thump me and it's sin if you do this. He just raised me and knew I'd hopefully make the right decisions and stuff.
Yeah.
And he was never the type of preacher to like point at you and you're sinning for what you just said. He was never like that. He was a realist. He knew humanity. He knew how the human mind worked. I mean, but he was there as guidance for people if he needed. He had his services at his church when he had his church. Even after he retired from preaching, he still, from his own church, he still went and done guest sermons at other churches and stuff. So he also worked a shoot job, if you will. But yeah, he was a preacher my entire life.
Yeah, that was just, most of the time I've never, because my parents, I grew up Catholic, and once I was old enough to make my own decisions, they let me do that. My parents are they weren't really strict, like, okay, you eat meat and Lent, you're going to hell. They weren't like that. But just like to have somebody that was I think it was weird to not necessarily. Maybe weird's not the right one. It's something I don't understand when that's what your father does, and the kind of the standard being held to that standard of your father being a man of the cloth, and here you are. I don't know. It's just something that's different to me. It's just odd. I don't know. But that would be tough for me as a kid to have to deal with. And it seems like you handled it very well. Is that a good way to put it?
No, I totally get you. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, because your dad's appreciated. And I think that in 2012, I did see your mother too at that show. I came up to her. She came right up to me and hugged me. She remembered me. She's like, "How you doing?" And I was like, "Hey, great." And and I think it was shortly after your dad passed too. And it was like, I remember that. And she was really glad to see us and that we did it. She was real happy you did the show. The other thing too, you might even understand because you're a father yourself now, and so am I.
Yeah.
And I just, God, the opportunity I tell my dad stuff now, like I know why. I know why you were the way you were. I understand.
Oh yeah.
He's just like, because they used to tell me you'll understand when you have your own. And I hated hearing that, but now I get it. It's like, okay, I get it. I understand why you're like this. I understand why you were the way you were. It's just, yeah, that's something with your whole life changes that moment when you see your kid being born. It's just
different priorities change, different. But it's like, because I took over the train, as the head trainer for the ASWA training school, and my temperament is different now because before I had my son, I would be a little more not mean, but a little more. Come on, get it right. After if like say somebody keeps messing up a clothesline after the 50th time, then I might get a little more attitude with them and be more frustrated with them. Or if somebody got cocky in the gym, I might kind of like I'd pie face them and kind of teach them a little lesson like this is how this protocol works in this business.
Yep. You get cocky with the veteran, they're going to put you in your place.
Yeah. These days in my school, if I try to take a more of a woo-saw effect on it, because I don't like to get angry, just because I would never want to slip and accidentally get angry with my son when it's uncalled for. So I try to practice that in my training and lead by example to my students, because there's been a couple of times, I won't mention no names, but there's been a couple of students of mine that they're lucky they have their teeth still. They're no longer students of mine, by the way, but they're lucky they have their teeth.
Well, I think this too, being a father, especially, I have two young little girls. I mean, my oldest is 4. My youngest is going to be, well, let me say this. My oldest is 4 now, but she'll be 5 in September. And my youngest will be 3 in June. She's 2 now. So you learn patience.
Yes.
You learn patience like that. I didn't even know I had when I had patience. I was just telling my wife this morning when I made her breakfast something and she threw a fit. And I said, eat it if you want to. And I walked away. Eat it if you want to. Walk. If you either eat that or you don't eat. And after about 5 or 10 minutes of her doing it, she stopped and she started eating. Instead of getting mad and getting in her face, that's what I did. And I said, here you go. I said, it's because what I did was I showed her that that's not going to get you what you want.
Yeah.
No, it was something trivial. Like she's 4. That's what 4-year-olds do. That's what 4-year-olds do. So it's just, but being, I didn't have that patience when I helped train guys too, because the thing that frustrated me, especially when I got back in 2009 and I started realizing guys couldn't call a match in the ring if they saved with their life. They had to work everything out in the locker room. And I used to purposely do stuff. We'd work it out, and I get in the ring. Tom Dunn was the referee, and it was great. I just looked at him and said, tell him I forgot everything. Like they didn't know what to do. And I said, locked up, and lock takeover. All right, what are you going to do?
That's like, my guys. I mean, I teach them how to do it all. I teach them, but I mainly focus on walking and talking in the ring, but I do also encourage them to learn, because you never know who you might go work somebody that only knows how to work one way or the other. I said, know how to work both ways, be able to call it from A to Z or call it on the fly, but be able to do both, because you never know. It's just, and my students prefer to work it on the fly because, except for maybe some key spots or whatever, of course, or a finish or something, but, and I'm proud of all my students. They've all done, except a couple who never applied themselves, but like Madman Fulton, man, that dude, he just made me which his name Fulton, of course, was a nod to Charlie, of course. When he first got signed to WWE down in NXT, he would still stay in touch with me and everything, and he wanted me to help him come up with some names and stuff. So I sent him a list of like 20 different names. Like, man, I want to try to show you or Kid or Charlie some kind of nod or something like. So one of the names in there was Sawyer Fulton. So he chose Sawyer Fulton. In the beginning, he thought it was from Buzz Sawyer's. Actually, I was just finished watching the Lost series, the TV series Lost, and one of the characters in there is Sawyer. So I was like, Sawyer Fulton. But I let him believe it was Buzz Sawyer at first, But, but then he kept the Fulton name when he left there, and now he's Madman Fulton. So Charlie really liked Jake. Jake's his real name. But
Charlie. If Charlie didn't like you, he didn't let you know, but he just didn't talk to you.
Yeah.
If there's something off with it, he just is like, okay, the way you were. But Charlie was a very patient man and very soft spoken. Where me, when I train guys, I have patience now, but there was a time I got frustrated because I said, what if you're working with somebody that's a name, and this is what they do for a living, and they try to call something simple to do in the ring, and you can't do it, or you don't do it, you're out there in front of people. They're going to go into shutdown mode. The match is going to be garbage. They're just going to start protecting themselves.
Oh yeah.
They don't care at that point. They're like, hey, you put me in here with this guy, not my fault. They got their money guaranteed. So,
well, then it makes you look bad as a trainer. That it might give you some bad stigma. That's what I tell my students. Like, you ain't going to go out there till I say you're ready, because I don't need you. I don't want you going out there. Then you stink up the ring. Then guess what? That promoter's going to be like, well, we're not going to use no more of his guys no more.
Right. Well, I had a reputation, and I remember I went out of my way when Ray Rowe was ready. He's the Eric Viking Raider now, and I got him some shows in Erie because I knew the promoter in Erie, Pennsylvania. And I said, hey, use this guy. He's pretty good. He just needs to get to work, start working in front of people. I got him to a seminar with Raven was there. Well, Scotty Levy, he was trained by Charlie back in Jersey. Yep. So, but there was other students that were mad that I did that. And I said, work harder.
Yeah.
I said, you're ready. You're not. I said, I'm not going to send you out there and you can go, oh, it's trained by Lou Marconi. And then you can't even lock up. I'm like, no, we're not going to do that. That was that's another point too, because Hiro Matsuda trained Hulk Hogan. And Hulk Hogan for years at the WWF only did what he needed to do. No more, no less.
Yeah.
If you ever watched his matches from Japan,
I tell people that all the time.
What's that?
I tell people that all the time. Watch some of his Japan stuff. I mean, he can work.
He could work. And there was a time when he had to have his working boots on. It was a Run WrestleMania against the Ultimate Warrior. He made that match watchable.
Yeah.
He did. And he put him over, too. And even I think even Hogan even kind of said, was like, it didn't bother me putting him over, but he had no idea what Vince was thinking. This guy was going to carry his company the way he thought he did. And I don't get it that one. But that's one of probably the rare exceptions to the rule when a guy can't work with him, making he actually makes money. I mean, Ultimate Warrior is probably that. I mean, I never met him, never worked with him, but the stories I've heard, just as a person. Lord rest his soul. I mean,
it's no disrespect to what he accomplished in the business, but he didn't have a lot of skill, and everybody will say that.
No,
he just had the hype.
He had the hype. He had the sizzle and no steak, and that's just
exactly.
He had the sizzle and no steak, but when you were going into this business and going through, I had the people that I tried to invoke, and I thought were my heroes. Like, I had a favorite Magnum TA when I was a kid, Flair, and Bret Hart and Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect. That's why I always wore the singlet too. People didn't know this because my brother was an excellent amateur wrestler. And to uphold the amateur wrestling standard in my family, I always wore a singlet. And plus, Mr. Perfect was one of my favorites, so I wore that too. Who did you have growing up that you wanted to invoke and you tried to be?
It was such a melting pot, because I would have like my uncle and grandpa, which that's got me more into watching it more, was when I was younger. Like a kid, was my grandpa. I'd see him shake his fist at the TV at the old Georgia Championship Wrestling and NWA and stuff. My uncles and cousins yelling and screaming at the TV, and like, I started yelling and screaming at the TV. Hey, this is kind of fun. This is really neat. And then of course, you had your Flairs, and Dusty Rhodes was a favorite of mine. Then as I started watching with my mom and dad, they used to go. My mom would tell me stories of the old Armory in Mansfield. She'd go chase down the wrestlers as a little girl, getting autographs and stuff at the old Armory and the 7-Eleven hall and stuff. And like Chief Don Eagle and not Red Cloud. That's a different one. Just stay off the neck. Hey, stay off the neck, Lou. Stay off the neck.
Frank Coletto, Frank sent me a YouTube clip with Chief Don Red Cloud wrestling the Sheik, Ed Farhat.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I said, all guys of him to be in the ring. And he did like a squat. I mean, the Sheik just destroyed him. And I'm like, this is from the 70s. And I'm going, my God. I said, why did he get in the ring with Ed Farhat? Good Lord. And but was there one? I remember because I know you liked The Undertaker.
Well, I mean, I liked before he was Undertaker. I mean, I was Hulkamania is what got me like, well, this is what I want to do. You know, Andre was a big favorite of mine, you know, growing up. And then I remember my mom and dad took me to my first WWF shows at the Richfield Coliseum. Or no, it was the Ohio Center. And Hogan wasn't on this show, but Demolition was, and it was like my favorite tag team. And so I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Then I went. Then they took me to Richfield Coliseum, my second show, which was Hulk Hogan versus Macho Man. And I remember I made this big poster board drawing of Hulk Hogan. You know, the storyline they did where they pulled Hillbilly Jim out of the crowd, you know, trained to be a wrestler. I had to sign up. I want to be the next wrestler, Hulk, or something like that. And I was 12 years old at the time or something. I don't remember now the timeline, but, you know, and I'm like right there at the entrance where they come out so they can, I'm like, oh, I was arguing with Bad News Brown as a kid and everything. It's like, man, this is all. Then as I got older, I'm like, man, kids were like, oh, I'm gonna be an astronaut or I'm gonna be a policeman. It's like, I'm gonna be a wrestler, you know. And that's where the kind of looping back to the path we talked about earlier. But
yeah, well, no, it's kind of curious. I'm just curious because there's always like everybody I knew that got into the business and was successful and lasted as long as you and I have. They loved it when they were a kid. They watched it when they were a kid and they loved it. And
then when
my personal story was I had a great grandfather and I knew him as Pappy, as my mother's grandfather. He grew up in Western Tennessee, but he lived in Cleveland for a while. He went back and forth, but he ended his life in Western Tennessee. So he grew up watching Jerry Jarrett stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or but even probably go back even further, maybe Lewis or whoever else. And he went to his grave believing it was real and everything else. And I watched wrestling with him. He got me on the wrestling, and I remember watching. He called it wrestling, and he watched it. And he like, you know, he even had. I mean, it was just interesting, dude, because I was the last person because I went down there summer of 1990. He was dying, but I went down to Tennessee to visit him, which we did as a family because we wanted to see him before he passed away. He passed away in the fall of 1990, and I was 17. And they wanted to get him, hey, see if we can get him out of bed. You know what? Ask him if he wants to watch wrestling with you. And we just had an old VHS tape, and it was a WCW VHS tape. And it had the Road Warriors on it and everything. And he did. He came out of bed, and he wanted to watch wrestling with me. We go, want to watch wrestling with Louie? Yeah. And he got out of bed, and he had to walk, and he did help and everything. And he was 88 years old at the time. So, you know, and he spoke very softly and everything. I knew him as bad as Willie Myers. And he passed away in 1990. So to me, it was even funnier because my mom's sister will still tell me, like she did come and watch me wrestle when I was defending the NWA national title. He said there was a picture when I won the NWA Eastern States belt. The belt's right up here across my shoulders. Harley Race gave it to me. He presented it to me when I went, and I said, if Pappy would have seen this, he wouldn't have believed. If he would see Harley Race presenting me with belt, like he would, you know, here it was 3 years later. I'm training to be a wrestler. And they said that Pappy could see you doing this. He would be so proud. I said,
you know what? He sees you.
He sees it. He saw it. He probably knows it's a work now.
Ain't no kayfabe in heaven. What are you talking about?
That's going to be the title of your book, Jimmy. There's no kayfabe in heaven. But
you have to help me co-write it, Lou.
Yeah, okay. When I get time, man. I'm training a 2.5-year-old, so come on. That's what we did this quarantine. I said we're home. We might as well potty train her. She's going to be 3 soon. It's around that age, so yeah. The other one's potty trained. So once we're both potty trained, I think I'm going to throw a party and get out of quarantine. No more diapers. Well, the other thing too. This is an interesting. I don't mean to talk. I don't want to get.
No, man, you are good.
No, because my wife and I, when we got married and everything, we actually planned it out. We said, okay, we want to have a family, but we don't want any more than 2.
Yeah.
So after the second one was born, I was 44 years old, and the deductible was used up because we had the second one. I had till the end of the year, and I went with my health plan, my insurance. And I went, you know what? Wouldn't it make sense for me to get a vasectomy now before all that? And she's like, yeah, well, go ahead. So I went and did the whole examination and everything else. I talked to the doctor, and the urologist explained to me, which is something I never knew, was that if you're under a certain age, they won't do it. They will not do it if you request it. Like if you're under the age of 30, for men, they will not give you a vasectomy. They won't do it. I did not know that. And the other thing too, for women, they can't get their tubes tied under the age of 30 either. I guess it's Ohio. They won't do that. And that's something I didn't know.
I thought it was 25, maybe 30.
I think it's 30 now. It's 30 because that's what they told me. And I kind of looked at them. It was a basic outpatient surgery. I went to the Cleveland Clinic. They numbed the area. They did it. I was home the next day. And basically, I was laid up for about 3 or 4 days, ice pack and everything. It's not that difficult. It's a lot easier versus me getting it done versus her. And I said, yeah, and I told the doctor, I said, well, I'm 44. We just had our second kid. We don't want any more. She said, okay, no problem. Because they didn't have an issue with it. And I said, okay, they made sure my health was good and everything else, and no high blood pressure or anything like that. But I said, well, this is what I said to her. I looked at him. This is the only thing I said. And I don't mean to get political here, but I'm going to make a point. I said, what about my body, my choice? That's all I said to them. And they kind of went, well, it's the law. That's how they think. I said, what about my body, my choice? That's all I said. That's it. I said, what about my body, my choice? And they said, yeah, it's a good point. It's the law. And they're like, all right, well, if you're 25 and you don't want to have a family, you don't want to have kids, couldn't you have the surgery? If you want to pay for it yourself, what's stopping you? That's interesting. I don't know. That's just something I thought was interesting. But anyway, I went off on
the. I didn't even know that. So that is very interesting.
It is. You learn a lot because I learned a lot. Like I learned a lot when I became a dad because I did a lot of reading before the first one was born, and I was very well prepared. The doctors were really, very helpful too because within 12 hours, when the ovum's fertilized, I don't know if you knew this because there was an app and everything. Within 12 hours of a fertilized ovum, it has its own DNA sequence.
Yeah.
Okay. So anytime that people want to give me a pro-choice argument, I get a choice, I choose life. And this is why I'm against it. And I'll explain to why, because that my body, my choice does not work. Even with the law, I just proved that it doesn't work.
Yeah.
So I said, look, if you're saying it's her body, her choice, then prostitution should be legal. But that's not. That's another.
Well, it's a point, though. I mean,
it's a point. It's a point. I'm saying, but I'm not saying I'm advocating for prostitution either.
No, I don't know me either. I'm just saying, though, by that logic.
Well, if you take that woman's skin cells, saliva, urine, blood, bone marrow, muscle tissue, any other tissue in that body, you can interchangeably, the DNA will match 100%. If you take genetic material out of that fertilized ovum within 12 hours, it will not match.
Yeah.
How can it be her body if the DNA doesn't match? You could prove that in a court of law. That's what they're scared of. Plus, and I know I'm getting off on a tangent here. Plus, that's where if that woman was accused of a crime and that DNA sequence from that fertilized ovum was found at that crime, she would be exonerated. But her son or daughter would be brought up on charges. Period. Yeah. So it's not just a choice. It's a and we want to go, well, what do you do about the foster kids? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, is that her body or not? That argument falls completely apart.
Yep.
Roe versus Wade happened in 1973, and they didn't even have ultrasound technology then. So here we are almost 50 years later, 72, 73, I think it was. And it's totally different now. So I might be pissing people off when they listen to this. I'm just giving you facts.
Well, you know what, though? Everybody's, like I said, you and me think a lot alike on that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's our opinion, just like they're entitled to their opinions. I don't unfriend somebody because they have a different way of viewing things as I do. I've had people unfriend me because they don't like how I view things. But I don't unfriend them. If you and me were on totally different ends of the spectrum, I'm still going to call you my friend. We may have some debates now and then, but you're still going to be my friend because we're fellow human beings and we're unique and we're going to have difference of opinions on things.
Right. And that's the whole thing. I think another thing too, my dad made a point to me. I never realized this. He wasn't in the room when my brother was born. Well, my brother was born in 1969 and my dad was in the Army and he got flown back, got to hold him for a little bit and then had to go back to boot camp. So that happened. But he wasn't in the room when I was born. They didn't even know if we were girls until the nurse came out and told them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was 73. My sister was born in 75. I was the middle kid.
Okay.
After that, my parents didn't have any more kids once they had a girl. They had 2 boys and a girl, and they were fine with that. I don't think my dad had any surgeries or anything. They just didn't have any more kids. The point was that my dad wasn't in there to see us born. Where today, I believe you were in the room when your son was born, weren't you? Just I'm assuming.
I was out of town. I kind of
Ooh.
came suddenly, and
Oh, okay. I'm sorry to hear that. I didn't mean to bring that up.
no. You're fine, brother.
Okay.
It happens. It happens.
I was for both, and I will say this. And one person I was friends with in North Carolina made a good point to me. He says you have a whole new respect for the mother of your child when you're in that room when they're doing that, and it's an experience you'll never forget. You never experienced, and it's the honest to God's truth. And I could tell a quick story because I mean it's just because I was nervous about the second one. I'm going to tell you this because I know we have a mutual friend that just went through something. I'm not going to say her name. You know who we're talking about. We both each made a comment to her today. She went through something tragic and horrible. Never imagined it. I'm even be broken up talking about it. But my wife was at an age with our second one where she was close to the high risk. She was almost 37. Okay, this was in June of 2007. She was about to turn 36. So June of 2007. So I'm about 8 years older than my wife. And we scheduled it to be induced because once she got to a certain point, we can induce labor due to her high risk.
Yeah.
So we planned everything out. It was a Sunday night. My daughter was going to be born on my birthday. So I was going to share a birthday with my youngest. And I had no problem doing that. So I said, let's do it. So I had all the vacation scheduled off at work. I had everything set up. My sister came over to watch our oldest with my nephew and niece. I ordered pizza for them. We went. I had everything set. We went to the hospital. And the hospital really we set it up. We thought we were supposed to be set up and go there. So we got there. And the hospital's like, oh, we don't have you here, but hey, we'll bring you in anyway. And then they started realizing that everything was kind of borderline to induce labor. And they were afraid to induce her into a C-section. And once my wife heard that, she's like, whoa, we're supposed to do it. So I had to pull her aside and said, let's give us 5 minutes to talk. Let me talk to my wife. My oldest daughter was a week late and she was 9 pounds, 9 ounces when she was born. And my wife did not do that with a C-section. She gave that naturally.
It's a big baby.
She had an epidural, yeah. And I said, there's no way you're not going to be able to do this after doing that less than 2 years ago. You're going to be fine. We should do this. And she's like, okay. We'll do it. So we did it. And this was 11 o'clock at night. And my wife went through labor that night. And I remember for some reason, I'm in the chair. And it's like, once you're tired enough, you can fall asleep while sitting down. I think she was kind of falling asleep between contractions too. But when she rolled up on a certain side, the heart rate of the baby just dropped.
Oh, wow.
And all I remember was all a bunch of people came in. I just woke up and I'm like, whoa, what's going on? What's going on? They put her, they had 1 foot out the door. They were going to give her a C-section. But then they put her on her other side, the heart rate went back up. So they went, okay, it's wrapped around her throat. Their umbilical cord was wrapped around her throat. They said, we're going to have to do a vacuum assisted birth. And they did it. And she was born at she was 9 pounds, 3 ounces around 9 o'clock in the morning on June 19th, 2017, 44 years after the day I was born. So they pulled her out. She wasn't crying right away. So I was nervous until all of a sudden she just snapped. But they had to do the vacuum assisted birth and the cord was around her throat.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't have talked my wife into doing that. Who knows what could have happened? Yeah. The next week or two or whatever would have happened, because if she would have fallen asleep on one side, she wouldn't have known.
Yeah.
So it was like I said, there's things called divine intervention. There's things that happen for a reason.
Well, I believe
it. And that's one of the scariest things. So I was like, and then when she started crying, I just had this relief. I actually cried a little bit myself because she's going to be fine. She's going to be fine. I don't know how I would have handled it. I have no idea how I would have handled it. And then it was just kind of like, and they saw me get emotional, and the nurse, the whole room was filled with people because it was a special birth and everything. The first one, we only had a doctor and a nurse in there. The other one, we had like a team of people. I just couldn't believe how many people were in the delivery room. And I just stayed out of the way and everything. And they kind of said, is this your first? Like, they were like, because they saw how emotional I got. And I kind of wiped my eyes a little bit. I said, well, it's the first one that I know about. And then the whole room laughed. I kind of broke the tension. And my wife just went, "You used that joke last time." So everybody kind of felt better because I was worried. I was genuinely worried. Once I knew she was okay, and she's fine. She's doing great. She's really smart. She's too smart for her own good sometimes. And she's,
I know the feeling.
Yeah. So like I said, just like I just gave it a real emotional story. Like that's what I'm saying. Like, because I really didn't care which side of the issue people were. And I still I'm not a big person. I'm not going to judge somebody on doing what they think of it, the abortion issue. But once I heard the heartbeat of my child, the first ultrasound, that said to me, I'm going to be a dad. I'm going to be a father. That's when your mindset starts changing. And then when it really hit me with the first one, it was like, because my wife, we got to go home 36 hours after giving birth. And I was like, yeah, you guys are ready to go. And we're like, oh, we got to take her. Oh. we're responsible for a human life now. And that's when it's like, oh, God, what do we feed it? It's just kind of like, I never changed a diaper in my life until my daughter. Yeah. Never. The nurse had to show me how to do it. She's like, here, do it this way. Now I can do it with my eyes closed. So I mean, it's just like, so it's just one of those.
I was fortunate enough to have experience changing nieces and nephews diapers as they were.
I had nieces and nephews, but I never had to change diapers. Yeah. Well, the other thing too, being a father, and Kid told me this, like what he went through, being a prison guard or corrections officer. I shouldn't say prison guard now. It's correction.
It's the PC now, Lou.
He's corrections officer. He had to be this tough, mean guy because he was dealing with criminals. But then when he came home, he had to compartmentalize that and be a loving, sensitive father to two little girls. He was a single dad.
Yeah.
And much respect to him for that. Absolutely.
So I was there the whole travel route, him raising them girls too. I mean, I was Uncle Jimmy, them girls, I mean, I was there, watched them grow from diapers to adulthood. It was kind of cool, And again, they're like my family as well. To this day, I'm still Uncle Jimmy, And to back it up a couple minutes to when you said when it sinks in about being a dad, it probably speak for you too is when you feel it kicking in there, when you feel it moving inside you feel that it's like, oh, this is real, man. Oh, wow. Then you get this, I don't know if it's adrenaline or whatever it is that just kicks in. You're like, this is cool.
This is cool. This is my kid. She's holding my kid. She's carrying my kid. It's like, wow. Yeah. And I remember just thinking like, okay, it's like, and I had a job where I traveled a lot at the time. And that's why I came home 4 years ago when the other one was coming. And the first year of being a father, she basically was at home. I had to go out and travel for my job. Yeah. We were 400 miles away from friends and family. So I was able to apply within my company to transfer home. And that's why even certain positions that are available now, I'll talk to the hiring manager and I'm like, well, what's required? I can't do it. I'm not going to travel. It's just like, I can't do it. So I'm okay with that. That's my choice. I want to stay at home. There's other people that can do it. I want to be here. That's why I hung up the boots. I said, I'm retired. I said, "Bill, would you ever wrestle again?" I said, I'm never going to say never, but not right now. Maybe they'll want to see me when they get older.
Yeah.
Maybe if ASWA is still running, they'll bring me in for an old timers match.
knock on wood. Barry's still there, Kid's still there. So it'll be some old timer spots.
Yeah, very hard. I tried to get Barry to come on the podcast.
Kenny Hendricks is there, So.
Yeah, Kenny. Well, Kenny's young. Kenny's young.
He's 30 in black years.
30 in black years. Well, when I started in '93, I think I was there. Like Kenny and Derek were there a couple months before me.
Yeah.
So they started around the same time with Charlie. Yeah. Yeah. By the way, I love the name of your tag team.
You like that? Man, he for a few years ago, he's like, man, if we ever get a chance, we should team up and be the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I'm like, man, we'll see if we can do that. And finally, a couple years ago, that presented itself. So we did the Jimi Hendrix Experience. Fans get a kick out of it, man. It's just, got this cool shirt made up, and yeah.
What music did you come out to?
We kind of messed up the beginning of my interest in music, and then switched over to some Jimi Hendrix.
Oh, like what specific song is it? Oh, hey.
Having a total brain fart right now.
It's okay.
Anyways, regardless, it's Jimi Hendrix. But our sound guy got it pieced together in his sound computer and stuff. So yeah, it kind of works out. We have it's another way to have fun and extend our careers a little longer, have a little fun with it, you know.
Oh, yeah. If I wanted to, I could work. I could work every weekend if I wanted to.
Yeah. Yeah, but yeah, hey man, down the road when they get a little older and want to see daddy in the ring, let me know.
Yeah,
I'm sure I can squeeze you in a spot there somewhere.
Yeah, we'll do it. We'll do it. I mean, well, that's so far away right now. It's just, to me, it's my priority is my girls, and you see it's a little bit of a drive because you'd be the closest promotion I could work for, because I had a blast back in those days in the '90s and stuff. Yeah,
and it's still that same camaraderie in our locker rooms. I mean, and as you've probably seen traveling around, I mean, things started getting a little cliquey. Some promotions and this little group and this little group. We still keep a nice. It's like just like the old school locker room, man. Everybody's a brother to each other. We have a lot of fun. Like I said, you know, since I started that, I did that first show in 2012, that reunion show, and I've been every 2 months since with the exception of this COVID-19 shutdown. I've ran every 2 months in Mansfield, and I think we did a show in Bucyrus too, and whatnot. But we did a lot of shows over the last few years, so I'm hoping to keep it going as long as I can, as long as the shows are self-sufficient. You know, I mean, I don't care if I pay a little out of my pocket to keep them going, but usually they're self-sufficient. I just roll over that promotional money to the next show, to the next show, to the next show. So So I plan on keeping it going as long as I can. So.
Well, plus you got the school going on too. You're still taking students?
Yep. Yeah, still take students. Actually just was about to debut a couple of new students at this last show that got canceled, but of course had to cancel thanks to the Rona, if you will.
Yeah, the Rona. I asked this about Quinn Magnum last week, and I'm thinking this could be an opportunity for wrestling. It's like a complete reset button. What do you think?
I'm on the fence with that. It could be a reset to where fans. You mean as far as the wrestling itself, or the fans' interest in it?
The fan interest, plus you might see fans popping on arm drags and drop kicks again, versus you go through 5 tables on fire to get a reaction. You know what I mean? And
I was talking to other promoters, and we have a little promoter chat group, kind of keeping everybody updated on for our respective areas, and kind of hoping that, man, just the absence of wrestling, people just want to flock to the shows again. But realistically, man, I hope people have the income. They're not struggling in their bills and stuff where they can't afford such luxuries as paying for a ticket, no matter how cheap they might be. But say average indie show, say $10 a ticket. But if they're a struggling family who had to kind of endure through this quarantine, it might be a little bit of time before the numbers build back up, because we were averaging 400 or 500 people a show. Right. Sometimes a little more, depending on the time of the year, of course. But it may take some time to get those numbers back up. But then again, the other side of the coin, it might be instantaneously because people missed it. They missed coming to the live events and stuff. So
there could be one of two things, because I remember, I don't know if you knew this about the wrestling business, because I did a lot of reading too. In the Great Depression, wrestling thrived in the Great Depression because people still wanted to be entertained.
Yeah, they needed that escape.
Yeah, they needed that escape, and they enjoyed it. Even since it was thriving, the mafia tried to get involved in it, but after a while they stopped because they quit dealing with the crazy people. When you're too crazy for the mafia, that tells you a lot. So, but yeah, there's a lot of good historical books that I read, and one of my favorite ones, Hugh Carmichael let me borrow it. It's Lou Thesz's biography. It's called Hooker. It's not what if you don't know.
I know what.
Yeah. It's actually an old Carney term for that. That's the top wrestler. That's the guy, when he hooks you in a hold, you're not getting out. Yeah. That's what it is. That'd be like I'd say that'd be like a Kurt Angle or Lesnar. Something like that, or those were the guys that. So hey, let's talk about this real quick, because I'm just kind of curious. The Dark Side of the Ring series on Viceland. Have you been watching that? Have you had a chance to check that out?
Yeah, I have been checking it out since even the first season. Yeah.
Well, season two's been on, and it's been interesting because they just did the one about Dino Bravo, and I
Yeah,
remember,
I just watched that a couple nights ago.
yeah, it was Jacques Rougeau was there because I guess he was supposed to come over his house that morning for some reason, and it was just wow. He just he got mixed because yeah, wow. It's just that's a strange story because I mean he got mixed up with the wrong people. It's really what happened.
I
Yeah, I
remember
never
when that
did you ever.
first happened. I heard just through inside the grapevine that yeah, it was a hit. You know, it, you know, he was in the cigarette trade, smuggling cigarettes, screwed over the wrong people. I heard that buzz back when it happened.
Yeah,
Then seeing this, it's like, oh wow, I mean, I guess all that little buzz, the buzzwords were true.
yeah, and I guess this one next week's going to be. I'm sure that they're happy on plugging their show. But if you're a wrestling fan, you got to watch this. If you, even if you weren't in the business, if you're a wrestling fan, was the John Stossel getting slapped by David Schultz?
I still watch that video every now and then.
Yeah, and I don't know if I'm going to see if they actually got Stossel to talk on that one because he does reports now. He's a very good reporter, and he's a libertarian. I mean, he talks about things and he just uses facts and common sense and just says, "Hey, this is what the data is telling us. Why do people think this?"
He just made a foolish decision that night.
Yeah, that's the wrong guy to ask. That was the wrong guy. It was just you think that, I mean, plus as soon as he did it, Vince had to fire him. I never met him.
Well, like I said, I don't know if you caught any of his like Schultz's interviews and stuff, but he said Vince pretty much told him to do that.
I heard that.
And then had to play the devil's advocate. Oh well, you shouldn't have done that. We got to fire you now, kid. Kind of.
Yeah, but if he didn't do it, would he have been fired?
I think he was in a rock and a hard place, but I think he probably would have done it without the encouragement. Honestly,
I think so too. I think there was an old Morton Downey Jr. episode. Remember that show?
Oh yeah.
And he had a bunch of wrestlers on, and all the guys that were on that show, including David Schultz, was with them, were protecting kayfabe. Yeah. And Ted Orsini was on, Captain Lou Albano was on, David Schultz was on, and I'm thinking another guy, Thunderbolt Patterson was on too. And I'm trying to think who else. But Thunderbolt Patterson was playing the race card, and he was trying to say they can't give a black guy a shot in the business. And he no-showed a match against Ric Flair for the NWA World Title. And they said, "You had a match against Ric Flair. You didn't go. You didn't show up. What's your problem?" He goes, he had nothing to say about it. But I remember that. And I remember David Schultz he had a drink of water and just threw it in the guy's face that was trying, because there was a guy on there that was a nobody trying to expose the business.
Yeah.
And it was, he's trying to say that they were trying to get, like, promoters were trying to sleep with him, and he's talking about blading. And this was like 89, and this was before I even knew anything about the business. But they were protecting it. They were protecting it back then. That was like 30 years ago. So, yeah, I remember that show. But David Schultz was a guy, he was crazy. So, all right, yeah. So that's cool. That's cool. So what else is going on for you? Go ahead.
Man, not a whole lot, man. Been just trying to stay busy with of course, during this hiatus, of course, we haven't been busy, of course, but still training students, man, helping people, pass the torch of knowledge down that Charlie and Kid instilled upon me, teaching those qualities of what we learned, it's that same style and ethic. Dabbling in the movie business a little bit, like me, like Kenny, and we did a couple of years ago. I mean, it's still in post-production and everything. Been on and off filming. It's called Escape from Death Block 13. We all play a bunch of inmates, and director Gary Jones. And if you look Gary Jones up, he's done a lot of movies, man, over the years. And but he wanted to use us wrestlers in this movie because we can do our own fight scenes. So we're doing our own action fight stunts and everything, and that should be out this year sometime. Hopefully, I don't know if this quarantine kind of put that back a little bit, because I think they wanted to originally open it in June, but they may push it at a later date just to open it up. And I did a couple of. Oh, go ahead, bud.
No. Was that the movie with the guy that looks just like Charles Bronson?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the pictures of it on Facebook.
Robert Bonzi, and he's got a couple other movies out right now. One they did called Death Kiss, like a nod to the Death Wish movies, and it's actually not too bad. And he has a couple westerns out. He's a good guy too. looks, and it's not makeup or man. You would think it was his twin. You know, like they cloned Charles Bronson. That's how much he looks like him.
Late Charles Bronson. Yeah, but there's probably young people that don't even know who Charles Bronson is now. So,
yeah, true.
So
I did a couple other movies. I did a lower budget horror movie last summer or last fall. And actually, they rebooting that Wrong Turn movie. That Fran, I don't know if you ever they were redoing that Wrong Turn series movie. I had a little extra background part in that they would film that this past summer. So yeah, so it might be something to lead me into something if I ever venture a little too much out of the wrestling business, you know.
Okay. Why not? I think I remember you guys were ribbing Little Mark.
Bingo.
Yeah, Mark Rico, because he, I think, because I remember when we went to Thunder's funeral, we were eating afterwards, and Mark was by me, and I still keep in shape, and I still lift and everything. He came up to me, man, Lou, you look great. You lifting weights? I'm like, no. It was just, he's like, no. And he's just like, the look on his face, and I think across from me was Toby and his wife, and I go, she's a sweetheart. Nicole's great. And I guess you guys were ribbing him during the filming of the movie. It's like, okay, we got to do that shower scene now. What shower scene? What are you talking about? It's just.
Mark, you didn't read page 82, line 18, scene 18, that you're in the shower with Big Bear, which Bear was a big black dude. It was one of the guys in the movie. And he said, oh, I didn't see that part. Like, you better read that part. You gotta do a nude scene. He's like, man, I don't want to do that. It's like, well, you got to do it now. You already been in the movie.
Just poor kid. The poor guy.
Hey, he's older than me.
Kid. Yeah, I forgot. I said kid. Well, he was a kid when I remember that. Yeah.
I think he just turned 46, actually, I think.
Hey, I'm only a year older than him. Poor guy. He was one of those. He teased him. I know. It was just a joke. But yeah, so where did that Cell Block movie? Did they film that at the old Mansfield prison?
Yeah,
the old castle? The
main location was the prison there, the old reformatory where they filmed Shawshank. And we also did other stuff at they had a studio over at Crest Line, and then other parts, like a scrapyard in Galleon, and so there's other areas and stuff they used as background. So it's going to be, I think it's going to be a pretty cool flick. Not just because we're in it, but it just if I even went in it, it'd be like, I'll watch this, man. It's kind of cool looking. So.
So what are you doing during this quarantine to keep yourself? What else are you doing to keep yourself busy? Netflix,
just
YouTube.
Yeah, Netflix, my Fire Stick. Playing my guitar, practicing, playing my piano, drawing, doodling, editing video.
Yeah, I'd say I was able to, I'm lucky I could work from home. So I'm doing that, and my wife's able to work too. So we still got an income, and it's not going to work for that. And we got the 2 little girls, so that keeps us occupied. So, but yeah, a lot of things. I started picking up on Netflix shows, and I watched one. Did you see the Glow Netflix show?
Yeah, that isn't too bad actually.
Wasn't too bad. It was just kind of like I tried to explain that to Corey Castle because he's younger. He's 10 years younger than me. I said that show they had a syndicated show in the middle of the 80s, and it was out of Vegas, and it was called Glow, and Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. It was a joke. It was terrible.
Oh yeah. What's sad is this series about that is way better than Glow actually was.
Yeah, you're right.
like the work.
The work was better. The spots are better. Yeah, I'm like, wow. I mean, looking back on some of the stuff, you're like, geez, how did this get on TV? And I think a lot of other actual legitimate female wrestlers, like Moolah being one of them, hated it. Killed women's wrestling for a decade because you remember that did women's wrestling went away for a little while, come back, late 90s. Yeah, it's true, it did. So they were doing the stupid skits.
What did you see when the women's wrestling came back to popularity? It started out as all the diva TNA stuff, you know what I mean? Then it progressed, and now they're divas. Now they're legitimate wrestlers again.
Yeah,
so it was a long journey for them to get back to legitimate status.
Yeah, I trained a few of them. I worked with Ronnie Nicole in North Carolina. I helped train her. Nice. And I don't know if you know Ronnie at all. Have you worked with her at all?
I don't know. I haven't worked with her.
Okay, yeah, because she's something. Because she's done. I think she's gone up to Pittsburgh, and I knew a lot of promoters out there and stuff. And she messaged me. She's like, a lot of people. I said, well, when you work for 20 years, you do meet people. It happens. That's when you kind of know you like when somebody tries to say they're in the business trying to in the know, it's when you see who they know and who else can vouch for them and everything else. Because when I first started, I called 3 places before I started with Charlie. All 3 of them knew who Charlie was. There's 2 other places I was looking at, they didn't know who they were. So where do you think I went? You know,
Yeah.
I went to Charlie's. So it made sense. Yeah, man. So that sounds to me like you got everything together, and that's awesome.
Yeah, try to. I mean, right now, I mean, just fortunately, I had the savings, to where I could get through this because being, the state pretty much shut down any avenue of income that I could pursue. You know what I mean? And
Right.
but hopefully, it all gets back to business here soon, and we get back to business. So.
Yep. Tomorrow, I think the governor of Ohio is going to have his press conference about how we're going to roll this out and how we're going to do it.
Phasing.
And phasing back in. And the only thing it really affects me, which I hate to say this because it seems it's trivial. That's why I bought a pair of clippers off of Amazon. My wife buzzes my hair now. That's what I did. And I can't go to my gym. So, but I have a workout machine. I have stuff at home I can do. So I'm working out at home. But that's about it. But that's minor compared to like, hey, I understand what they got to do. I think another thing people don't understand too is that when they first did this, it wasn't to save lives; it was to minimize the damage. It was to not overrun the hospitals.
Oh yeah, to overflow the system.
Overflow the system, and we did it. I mean, it really. And I think maybe some of the models.
And ultimately, there's no escape from it. I mean, it reduced the overflow, the system. I mean, if you do your own digging in the news, they've like there's hospitals that they're cutting shifts out on doctors and stuff because they don't even need them right now. Because not necessarily in Ohio, but like out in California and Washington, I think they're actually reducing doctor shifts and nurses shifts because they've kind of got that plateau.
Yeah. And they stopped all the elective surgeries, which how they made their money. And now they're having revenue problems because my sister works in a hospital system at Southwest here in Cleveland. She works in billing. And she was telling me that they're kind of like having to take personal time until they get back on their feet. Yeah. So hoping the governor's going to start phasing things back in sooner rather than later. I think probably it'll be full. I think we're going to be completely past this in Ohio, I can say for. Probably by June 1st, because New York and New Jersey, the New York metro area, it's different. It's very densely populated, and a lot of people use public transportation, and meaning they're all crammed up in a subway or a bus or whatever they're on trains or whatever you want to call it, and that's how it spreads.
I mean, my main concern, and I know, and I'm not by any way just diminishing the COVID-19 virus. I know it's a threat, it can be a danger to people, but you got to think of the fear though that people in desperate situations. They can't work. They're maybe not eligible for the unemployment or the stimulus. That's going to drive them to maybe to crime, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, suicide, depression. I mean, it just in my opinion, that could be worse than actual. Not, I know death is the worst result of COVID, but I mean, that other stuff ain't no joke either, though, man. If somebody gets desperate because they're losing their home or they're getting kicked out of their home or they're not making money to feed their kids, they're going to choose some other path to either battle the depression, whether it's drugs, alcohol, or they're going to mug somebody, go rob somebody. Then they're in prison if they get caught. So I think the end result of this economical shutdown could be worse in the long run if they don't get this kind of stimulated and reopened, even if it's gradually. Let people start getting back to work, and
I saw a story about South Dakota that they were able to handle it, but if you think about it, they're not New York City. There's not even close.
Yeah.
It's not close. I've been to North Dakota. I've been to Bismarck.
Yeah.
And I traveled there for business. It's a totally different, thing. And even Ohio, like when you're driving and you're commuting, people drive in their cars. They're socially distancing when they're commuting. You can do it at work too. You can figure it out that way. Now I could see the gyms being difficult, but they might require me to wear a mask when I work out. They might. And I'm like, okay, I could do it. I've never done it before. I'll try, or at least wear like a scarf or a bandana around my face. But yeah, it's you can get sick from a drinking fountain.
Yeah.
Public drinking fountain. I mean, it happens. I mean, I repeat I kind of saying I mean and everything. I'm trying to get my thoughts together on this. The original models were projecting 2.5 million deaths, which is why we did this. But I'm thinking now they're getting more data in and they're realizing more people that have had it and asymptomatic and this is just stuff we're finding out. There's been 3 studies. There's been one in New York County, one in Los Angeles, one in Santa Clara County, I think one in Los Angeles County, where they're realizing there's been a lot more infections and the deaths. When you do that, the actual fatality rate has dropped maybe down to 0.5%. Still, that's high. That's 5 times higher than the flu.
Yeah,
that's still
any death's not a good thing. I mean,
any death, any deaths at all. But I mean, a lot of times, I think a lot of the deaths, I'm hearing this, but I could be wrong, that a lot of the deaths are people with pre-existing conditions or respiratory problems.
Well, see, here's the thing I don't agree with either. Beef Stew Woo is that the CDC actually pretty much gave the go-ahead, and it's on their website. I mean, I'm not just making this up, that they can assume deaths were from COVID-19 without actual, the actual test. You know what I mean? And I'm afraid that some of the states may be taking advantage of that just to try to get more federal funding. Hey, look, well, this guy got stabbed in the heart with a knife. Oh, that was COVID-19. Yeah, I mean, there should be some kind of definite end note there. Not, we assume he died from this, so we're going to mark it as COVID-19.
Right. I put on Facebook a Babylon Bee approach because I even joked about this. Like they said, Trump tells people to drink a lot of water, and then the headlines say Trump's asking people to drown themselves. It's just complete dishonest. I'm not a big fan of Trump. Don't get me wrong.
I know. Yeah, I mean, he's not a saint. He's not a saint by any means. I didn't vote for a saint. I knew he was a playboy billionaire. But not to go into politics, but it's like, come on, he did not like the whole disinfectant things. Like, come on, you're hearing what you want to hear. Just there's more important things you should be focusing on instead of what, if he handled a comment clumsy, it was clumsy the way he handled it. How the statement made, but there actually some of the treatments cancer patients get are considered disinfected, so you can actually disinfect by injections. So not like Lysol and bleaches. He's not referencing to that, and they're actually working on UV lighting for the trachea and stuff. It's still in developmental stages, but there's actual light they can inject you with in a way. But I'm not trying to I'm not here on your show to defend him or anything, because everybody's gonna have their own opinion. But I think it's funny that, man, people are fighting over this. I see people fighting over this online. It's like, come on, people, stop fighting about this. Just be a brother to one another.
Yeah. It's is it really worth all that time and trouble because it's complete dishonesty. That's all it is. I said, look, if you want to have your opinion, fine. I'm okay with that too. But don't be dishonest about what he said. You're basically making up. Like, there was one other quote, and I remember when this happened. It was the Charlottesville thing when there were the one idiot hit people, and he went to jail for it. Hit people that were protesting the statues, Confederate statues, and there was a white supremacist march, and then there was also people that were there for the statue, against the statues, and he made a comment. And he said, there's good people on both sides of this, and I'm not. And that's what you heard in the media. Right after that, he says, and I'm not talking about the white nationalists. They need to be condemned.
Yeah.
They completely edited that out, and they did that
to make it take sound bites. What they pick and choose.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that was completely. I said, as soon as I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is what we're dealing with, and that's why. The media today is a lot different than what it was 30 years ago, because you got your news locally. And Kid Collins and I talked about this. Mike and I talked about this. Like, it used to be like a half an hour news, some sports. That was it. And you didn't have a 24-hour cycle. You didn't have the Twitter. You didn't have Facebook. You didn't have all this information. It's so hard to figure out what's right, because things on the internet are there to grab your attention. It's click. That was a clickbait story. Hey, Trump tells people to drink bleach. He didn't say that. He did not say that. It was honest. It was just, I said, no, he did not say that. And I think I put something up. I said, I marked myself safe from believing that Trump told me to drink bleach or something like that, or just Lysol, inject myself.
My thing is, I don't care, like I said, I don't care if you hate Trump.
Yeah.
Just hate him for legitimate reasons. Not just because you see a headline of a story. Oh, I believe it. Don't even read the article. Just the headline. Oh, I hate this guy for that. Just like a few months ago. not to be still in politics and Trump, but remember when he talked to the female astronauts? They were going to like it was an all-female mission, spacewalk or something a few months back.
Kind of, yes. Yeah, kind
Well,
of.
anyways, they took a snippet of Trump because the one of the female astronauts corrected him on it wasn't the first female mission because he was just again misinformed by his preppers, But then after she corrected him, they show this like the president flipped off the female astronaut. But if you watch the whole video, the whole time he's clearing his eyes like this, and getting the hair out of his eyes and with his middle finger. But they took that one little clip of him going like this, that he was flipping. Trump flips off the female astronaut because she corrected him.
Oh, wow.
I was like, oh my boy, they blew it up. Like, come on, watch the whole thing.
I tell people gather the facts, come to your own conclusions, come to your own. That's just get facts, understand. And another good rule too is to wait 24 to 72 hours before reacting to a story because other things come out.
Yes,
that's another thing too. And I've gotten caught up in things, and so did kids.
I get it. If you're emotional and passionate about something, it can spike you right then and there. Yeah. I get it. And actually, it was within a couple of days later when there was actually news articles about these disinfectants, which is a layman's term for some of these cancer treatments and stuff for people. It's pretty much a disinfectant that they inject, like the I can't remember the exact names of it.
It's chemotherapy. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like there's certain names for it, but it's like an ozone type therapy. There's a couple other treatments, but it's pretty much considered a disinfectant.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm okay with people not liking him. Man, at least legitimately do it for the right reasons, not just because I know what I was going to say, Lou. The mainstream news is just news opinion. It ain't even news anymore. It's just their opinions on things anymore.
Yeah, it's not objective at all. It's not objective.
They're actually registered as news entertainment.
You know what we did? What we took advantage of, my wife and I did yesterday.
Yeah.
I actually was going back and forth with this because we had a lot of miles on one of our older cars, and I said I think we could probably get a good deal on a car now, and we have cash. Let's see what we can do. And I kind of went on Auto Trader and I saw the local dealership. They had this thing, and I noticed that they marked it down. They took $5,000 off the price because it was sitting on the lot, and it was a certified pre-owned, all this other stuff. And I went, I'm going to reach out to them. So I emailed the dealership, and then myself and the saleswoman was texting back and forth. And, we basically made the deal over the phone. But I said, I'll have everything Saturday when we get there. We'll test drive it. We negotiated it. We kind of did the finer points of it, but we basically got a very nice car with like $6,000 under the asking price.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot of dealerships are doing that just because there's not moving anything right now.
We did the Dave Ramsey thing. We kind of had the cash ready to go when we needed it. Okay, it's time to buy a car. Let's go buy one. And we got an awesome deal. And I'm like, man, it was rolling up for two. I mean, because the other one's a little bit older, but it's fine.
And it's a necessity. I mean, a vehicle is a necessity, so.
But it is. But I'm saying that, like I said, one of the advantages, you could, if you really do your smart shopping, you could find deals on things.
Oh yeah.
I think they're going to you're going to see prices drop on this. Gasoline's really cheap. You're going to see prices drop on even appliances like TVs and stuff like that. Maybe
actually even home buyers. You're going to find great deals on houses here coming up next month or two.
Yeah, I mean they're going to try to start because they're going to try to kickstart things. And these real estate agents or realtors and business owners, they say, hey, buy one, get one free. You might see all kinds of deals coming up, even restaurants too. I think
they're going to want some money rather than no money.
Yeah, they're going to try to get people to come back. And once they start getting it going, because I remember the old school term when they called hot shotting the territory.
Yeah.
They brought in the special stipulation matches, the steel cage, baseball bat on a pole, lumberjack, bull rope matches, all this other stuff, the blood, the guns. But then once you got the people back, you scaled it back because you can't do it too much. ECW never scaled it back. That's why they burned out.
I think that's why they kind of diminished the business a little bit too, doing that all the time.
Right? Yeah, you can't do. It's like putting hot sauce on your food. You don't drink it. You just put a little bit on.
It's like I even tell my students. When I first got into it, you can see just a little drop of blood on somebody's head. Oh my God, he's bleeding. And then fast forward 10, 15 years, you got to practically be decapitated to get a pop.
Yeah. You got to do the old Abdullah the Butcher, just completely covered in blood and everything else. I've gotten color that way, but
Yeah.
at that time.
I mean, we kind of had to get booked,
Well, in the ECW style and everything, and but it always comes down to wrestling.
Yeah,
That's what I said. But my whole point was, I think there'll even be good deals on shows of wrestling. That was what I was getting at. Even wrestling, things are going to start coming. But you're going to see good deals on things. I think Vince McMahon might even look at this as a reset, or maybe he might reassess what he's doing, even though he laid off a lot of people just for his own survival. I mean, the people that are criticizing him,
it's business.
I don't I mean, look, I never had a crossword with the man. I've worked for him. You've worked for him. So he only maybe spoke to me twice. And one time he said, "Thank you very much," after a match with Mark Merrill. Another time he said, "How are you today?" I said, "Good, sir. Thank you." That was it.
Did I ever tell you about walking in on a private meeting with Vince?
No, go ahead. Well,
that's my first night up there, right? 18 years. And this one I actually was 18. It was at Erie Civic Arena. It was like me, Kid, Thunder, Chris Hahn, Rod Capina was up there, some of the other guys. Well, anyways, they had me scheduled. Rene Goulet had me. Well, first he was going to have me work Yokozuna, but then he changed it up, had me work an Undertaker that night. But all my gear, they had the thing where you had to wear like contrasting colors from the opponent. I don't know if you remember that or not, but all I had was black gear because, I mean, I was wearing all black before Undertaker was Undertaker. You know what I mean? He was Undertaker in 91. I was doing the whole gothic looking thing before then. Well, anyways, I'm like, oh, crap, man, I don't have I have all, and I didn't want to use the gimme box. They had a big box full of like greens and pinks and puke yellows and stuff, the hand-me-down box. I'm like, man, I don't want to wear that stuff. Billy Bodacious was there, and he had like a dark blue outfit, like tights and singlet. I'm like, oh, cool. Can I borrow your blue stuff? He's like, yeah, but it was really dark. So I put it on, and I had to find Tony Garea. I wanted to make sure it was still okay, even though it was dark, but it was not black like Taker's gear. But I'm looking down the hallway, and I seen Tony walking down the hallway. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm going down there, and he turned to the right. I'm like, okay. So I get on down there, and he was all the way down the hallway. And Knobs and Sags were sitting in the hallway in some folding chairs in the hallway. He's like, hey, kid, can we help you? Who are you looking for? I'm like, oh, I'm looking. Naive 18-year-old me. I'm looking for Tony Garea. Did you see what way he went? He's like, yeah, he went in there. They pointed to a door right across the hall, right across from them to my right.
Oh shit.
I'm like, oh, thanks, guys. So I go in there, just open a door, turn around, shut it, turn around, look. And Vince McMahon was having an ass-chewing session with Crush about drugs, tearing him up. And I'm like, they seen me after he, a good probably 4 or 5 seconds of still yelling at Crush. He looks down at me. He's like, can I help you? I'm like, I'm looking for Mr. Garea. Well, he's not in here. I'm like, I should probably go. That's a good idea. I'm like, so I turn around, open that door. Knobs and Sags are literally on the ground rolling, laughing. I'm like,
you were set up. Huh? As soon as they told you, yeah, I'll go in there.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh man, I was like, all right, guys, I see how it is. Boy, I felt that big, man.
Oh shit, that was a good rib. That's a good rib. They got. So can I help you? He's chewing out Crush. All right. Well, hey man, I know we've been talking for a while.
Oh wow, we have, yeah. We'll have to do this again sometime.
Quick, before we wrap this episode up, I always like to ask the guest, hey, what's one parting words of wisdom or parting piece of wisdom you want to give out?
Okay, for anybody in the wrestling business, man, always listen to the vets. They're going to give you the best advice that they've learned by. I'm talking about legitimate vets that that they've been around and been places.
Yeah.
And they will always want to help you. Listen to them, and just they will always get you by where you need to go. Just and never doubt where they're trying to guide you.
Absolutely. All right, Jimmie. Thank you very much for coming on. Thank everybody for listening to this podcast. It has been the Stew Pot episode 5 with Jimmie Lee. Man, I appreciate it. God bless you and your family and your boy. That's awesome. All right, guys, we'll do this again. Thank you.
Thank you.